I'll introduce Bruce Holland, who's the chairperson of the virtual group, who will explain about virtual and how it's been operating, and also introduce us to the first words and learn about one another. Thank you, Bruce.
Welcome. I've been asked to spend up to 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, talking about the last 17 years of virtual. I've summarised it in a back-of-the-envelope report, one of our famous back-of-the-envelope reports. Virtual Group was launched back in 1992 in a pinstripe tent, Frank Kitts Park. And we very deliberately pitched this tent in Frank Kitts Park so that it would be quite provocative in front of what were then several quite major competitors on the quay. And it was designed to look very different from those high-rise school buildings that were there. Pinstripe quality, enormous flexibility. And it also tied in very nicely with our slogan. Wisdom without walls was what we were trying to position ourselves as. Lots of wisdom, but without all the stuff that gets on the road and the walls and so on. Right from the very start, virtual was based on three big ideas. The first big idea was to liberate the human spirit at work. We really felt that there was a better way for people to work. That people were often frustrated, angry, stuck, unhappy, and it was mostly the organisation, and dare I say it, their managers that were the problem. We really believed that there was a better model, and it was based fundamentally around workplaces based on love, truth, and beauty. Our second big idea was to reinvent the consulting industry. And I guess the very first thing we did was pitch this tent as some sort of a symbol that we were on about doing something like this. But shiny shoes is the young graduate who gets charged out the same rate as a partner. It's that sort of thing, that's those sort of abuses almost of the system that most of us had seen in the big corporates that we came out of. And we were determined if we were going to be part of this industry to do it in a very different way. So they also tended to be very academic, left brain, analyse anything that moves. The third big idea was around trying to build a totally different business model. And we wanted to use Virtual Group itself as a model of how this new business model might be. So we looked at the old business model, which now, when you think about it, it's nearly 100 years old. Probably started type thinking, engineering type concepts. It's based on straight lines and standardisation, on hierarchies. People assume that the organisation charts the way people work and manage, and it's just really quite stupid. Lots of silos and lots of intrinsic rule. This, in our view, leads to totally unnecessary competition in big organisations. People fighting each other over divisions and budgets and stuff like that. Top-down defending the car, fear, control and isolation. And our model was much more around love, truth and beauty. So very almost polar opposites. So the new model, now well tested I might say, in quite a few places including Visa and Linux and a whole lot of places actually, based much more on organics than mechanics. So it's not the engineer, it's more the gardening type concept. It's not so much standardisation as personalisation. It's more about, instead of hierarchies and organisation charts, it's much more about networks and emergence and lots of self-management. That type of thing, instead of competition, leads to much more collaboration, the sharing of capital and talent, much more bottom-up and top-down type processes. So we're not saying either or, but you need both. It leads to the liberation of human spirit rather than the lack of passion that we found in the old model. It leads to much more powerful people right at the grassroots and in fact right through the organisation, freedom and connection, and no donuts. Right, so right from the start, Virtual saw itself as really in the business of reinventing the business model. And in between those times, so 17 years ago and now, we've had quite a lot of success in the first two big ideas. Where we've had a problem is in the reinventing and brand new business model for organisations. People sort of didn't want to know, why should we change, it's always been done this way, last 100 years, all this sort of thing. Until now. And until now, suddenly the old ways don't seem to be working quite so well. Things aren't quite as successful as they were. People are rethinking in a more fundamental way. So what is virtual today? And I'll give you some idea about what this new business model is we're talking about. So first of all, what we don't have. We don't have managers. Every single person in virtual has been selected, very carefully selected, at the top of their field. They would resist strongly being managed. We don't have staff. There are no staff in virtual. Everyone has an equal shareholding. 50 shares, everyone's got 1 share. We have equal voice. So we have no buildings. We just have a website, a telephone, and a post office box. We have no major computer systems. We have just readily available shareware. Like we're extensive users of Wiki and Skype. No overheads, no donuts, just a fantastically successful selection process. And that selection process is really at the heart of virtual because we've found you get fantastic people in the room together and magic starts to happen. Doesn't need much more than that. What we do have is very strong values and trust. We have very carefully selected big pie people. Now we talk about big pie people as, you know, some people think you've got this pie and if I give away a bit I'm going to have less and therefore I'll go hungry and all that. We have tried very carefully to select people who are big pie people. People who know that the world works in such a way that if you give, you're likely to get it back significantly. And virtual is run by 4 simple rules. And these are the only 4 rules we have. Keep moving, stay close, don't bump, leave a scent. We believe there's real magic in these rules. Keep moving means keep growing, keep developing, keep at the front. Stay close means stay close to our customers and each other. Don't bump means lots and lots of giving, collaboration, more than competition. And leave the scent is all about our feedback loops. You do these 4 things and you end up with magic. In the last 6 months, what's happened is that the market has changed and it's changed significantly. Some people see this as a threat. Some of our clients are really worried. We see this as a major opportunity. The old ways aren't working, and here's a chance to fundamentally rethink about the way. I mean, being able to make change that until now you've only been able to dream about. At the moment, what we're finding is that people are out there on the grassroots looking for leadership and not getting a hell of a lot of it. This is a time to move. And I'm talking about a time to move in the next 6 months, maybe after that you're too late. This is a time to make fundamental change. If we don't take that opportunity, we may never be able to do it again. So over the last 17 years, our experience in business models is finally starting to be appreciated. We've discovered over those 17 years many of the secrets about how to make a virtual organisation work, as though it was a big organisation but actually very different. Today we really are the business model reinventors. And at the moment we have a special offer going on where we will do a back of the envelope report on your organisation, which means that we'll come and spend a day with you. Because what virtual has is people who are neat, who have a lot of experience, who are used to going into organisations, who I guarantee will see things that you don't see. This is something that's totally free, with absolutely no commitment on either side. We believe that there's a real chance here to do something. If you're interested in that, either come and see me or one of the team. You've got their photographs in your envelope. We'll just leave us your business card.